what the object is. The object is not the label. The object is not the label. But because you attribute or associate your understanding to the of the object to the label, you get a different result. You get whatever attribute that label entails. Hello guys, it's Soft Sage, your host, also the world living ambassador. And I'm here again to give you guys an mental spiritual experience. Strap up for the mental ride. Today's video, or today's label, you understand that I'm talking about labels, and labels are good. From the title, labels are good. And I'm going to talk about what labeling is in the first place, then dissect why it is good, and dissect why labeling is good and at the same time bad in this first place. Like, what is good can also be bad. You understand that much? So labeling is good but also bad. That's two, and good and bad is just two things of the same extreme. So this is a hermetic principle. I will talk about this in another video. Hermetic principles, that is. But today's video is just about labels. Now the labels I'm talking about is just identification signals that you give to objects or persons or an emotion or anything at all. Like anything at all, even thing itself. The word thing is a label used to describe what thing is or what thing it is. And now, like, so every other thing that you can think of has a label, and that label now is what dictates its attributes. Depending on what that label is what dictates its attributes. For example, I want to use the example of a word that like has the same a word that has the same label but different meanings. So I want to use it to attribute what the attributes of a particular label gives to the object it's labeling. You understand? So let's say a book now. Let's say a book. In your book, you can also book a show or book a seat or something, or book a ticket, right? You can book a ticket. So, and book is also book, like a book you can read. So you see the label that they use there. If it's an object you want to use or you want to read, the label they use is book. If you are using English language, the label they use is book. If you want to order a ticket to get on a train or something, the label they use to is book a flight. Yeah, for a flight, you understand, is book. So why are they using different labels, the same label, for different attributes of the same label or the same labeled object? It's also something to think about, but that's not what this video is about. This video is about labeling is good, and the fact that I'm labeling that labeling is good is also labeling that labeling is good. So I decided to label that labeling is good because that also labels the fact that labeling is good, because it's also getting the idea out there so that people will understand that most of the times what is driving their actions towards a certain outcome is the label placed on that action that is driving them to that outcome they want to get to. So depending on how you want to be affected, if you just change the label, you can get a different outcome. So let's say you're feeling angry now because you're feeling angry now because of the situation, okay, and you call it anger. You label it anger, and because you labeled it anger, you started like feeling angry. Yes, you felt angry because of the situation, and yeah, so yeah, being angry is not bad. Some kind of things happen, and anger is just an emotion. So like that emotion now that you labeled as anger, if you remove that label, what will happen? I'm sure it wouldn't take away that feeling. you feel deep inside. But if you remove that label of anger, what are you left with? What are you left with? A feeling. And that feeling you feeling was created in your brain and in yourself because of the said situation you are going through, or the said outcome you are facing. So because you labeled that thing you are feeling anger, you started feeling the anger. So if you remove that label, what you'll be left with is just the feeling. And the feeling, when it's processed, it gets processed and flows out. And now, like, you no longer feel that feeling again. But because you labeled it now, you labeled what you labeled as what you labeled. And now the attributes of what you labeled now is what will affect you. That's why anything that gets labeled, like, it takes up attributes of what the label is, or what the label is about. So labels are good to an extent, to a large extent. But if you understand that what is also good can also be bad in every other ramifications. What is like, there's always two extremes of the same concept. You understand? I'm going to use a bad label now to, like, elaborate what I'm talking about. Stay tuned. Which label will I say now? Um, Sorry, I can't think of any bad label I can use, but you guys can come up with the examples. I swear, because anything that you label as bad now and associate the attributes of the bad labeling now to it now, that's what you'll be seeing. But if you remove that label that you put on it, you remove that label that you placed on it, what will be left there is nothing that label you put on it is like, it will be unrelated. What is left there will be unrelated from what the label is. So the label is just like a different entity placed on the object to attribute attributes to it. Or because a certain object or entity depicts certain attributes, they put the label and say this is what those attributes are. But that is not what the object is. The object yeah, is mostly different from the label placed on it, because the label can always be changed, and anytime the label is changed, so does its attributes, the object's attributes, but the object remains the same. The particular thing remains the same. It's the label that changes. So if you have a bad, like, if there's a bad outcome now, just change the label to a good list, like, just change the label to the other end of the spectrum, and you get good results. That's how you get good results. So this is why labeling is also good, because even as it's bad, even to an extent, labeling gets bad, there's always relabeling it to favor the other side of the spectrum, which is the good side, and the bad, or not the bad side. So let's see how labeling is good. Label it's I think I'll make another video to fully explain more, but this is just like the base of what it means, of what labeling means, and how labeling affects our society in the first place. Everything is labeled, and everything that has labeled has attributes attributed to it, which defines that label. But that label used to label that particular labeled object, okay, is always different from the labeled object itself. What is put on it is just a label. Some people will associate their understanding of the object to the label and that label alone, and that's what they think that particular object is. Because of the label, they attribute whatever that object is to the label, but that's not what the label, or that's not what the object is. The object is not the label. I think that's what I'm trying to say here. The object is not the label, but because you attribute or associate your understanding of the object to the label, you get a different result. You get whatever attributes that label entails. So it's just a slippery slope down one kind of downward hill, okay, and it takes more than one video to actually explain fully. I think I'll actually come up with, not even come up, I'll actually have to explain the 7 hermeneutic principles in a series, a different series on this my channel, so that I'll be able to fully explain and divert and label what I'm explaining through those principles, because those principles actually seep into every aspect of my videos and every aspect of the universe in the whole, like, in its entirety. Yeah. So that's it for today. Now I hope I was able to enrich your mental capacity and mental spiritual and your mental spirituality with this short clip and short video. So I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching to the end. Peace was the soft stage. I'm out.